This story happened when I was about 15 to 16 years old. The beginning of summer. Early morning. My parents are at the dacha. Suddenly the doorbell rings. At the question, "Who is it?" a cheerful female voice yelled, "Anechka, it's me, Margarita. Your mother's second cousin. Remember the wedding of Aunt Margo and Uncle Seryozha 10 years ago? You came to visit us with your parents. And you were so good friends with our Tanya. Of course, no wedding 10 years ago, and even more so Tanyushka I did not remember, but about my mother's third cousin something I heard. I had to open it. On the threshold stood a tall fat woman in a dazzling colorful dress and smiled at me, all 32 teeth, next to her pale lanky girl about my age, and from behind Margarita looked a little slouchy little man. "Why does it stink of smoke in your staircase?" Also, while we were going up the stairs, some crazy old woman came at us. "Have you seen my Stepka?" she shouted. We actually had a fire in our apartment on the second floor a few days ago. There were no victims, but the landlady, Margarita, went a little crazy. She was running around the yard, asking everyone she met, "Have you seen my Stepka?" Nobody understood what kind of Stepka she was talking about. Margarita lived alone, she didn't even have a cat. And our Galachka finished school. She studied well, so Uncle Seryozha and I decided to enroll her in the institute. We came to apply. Aunt Margo pushed her two huge trunks vigorously ahead of her toward the kitchen, at the same time asking questions and sharing the news. Galachka slipped in after her mother, and the man remained standing on the landing, holding some kind of bag with both hands and looking at the floor. "Why are you standing on the threshold? Come in," I politely invited. The man doomed to sigh and crossed the threshold. In the kitchen Aunt Margaret began to actively manage, filling all the free space with the contents of her baubles. I looked out into the corridor while she was busy babbling, putting out packages and parcels and jars of pickles and casseroles. Uncle Seryozha was still standing against the wall, absent-mindedly looking around. His clothes were a bit dirty, and he looked a bit grubby himself. "Perhaps you would like to wash up after your journey?" He shook his head in a negative. "Do you want to lie down and rest?" Uncle Seryozha pressed his head even harder into his shoulders. I took him into a small room and pointed him toward a sofa. We had dinner with Aunt Margot's endless monologue and Galachka's apathetic silence. I decided to put Galachka to bed in my room on a folding armchair, and Aunt Margo took her parents' bedroom. I looked in on Uncle Seryozha. He was asleep on the sofa, curled up. I didn't wake him up. Alone with Galachka, I finally asked her a question which had been tormenting me since they arrived. "How long are you staying with us?" "I don't know. My mother will decide." "And what institute are you going to?" "I don't know. My mother chose. But I forgot which one." Yeah, what a family. Losing all interest in Galachka, I quickly fell asleep. I woke up to the sounds coming from the kitchen, the clatter of dishes and the fake singing of Aunt Margo. Galachka was already sitting at the table, she was absorbed in a book. "Anechka, good morning. Breakfast is ready. Come and sit down at the table while everything is hot." The table was set for 3. "Is Uncle Seryozha feeling alright?" Aunt Margo exclaimed in surprise. "What cholera will take him? Healthy as an ox. Do you remember how noisy he used to be? Now it is even worse. He rushes around like a scared one. Me and Galachka drove us. He's yelling, giving orders. He won't let me open my mouth. It's a good thing we didn't take him with us." With each new aunt's phrase my jaw dropped more and more, and amazement tripled. Well, the last line, "This is a control shot in the head." I barely squeezed out myself. "And where is he now?" "Stayed at home. Someone's got to take care of the cattle." I rushed to the room where the ownerless man was sleeping, then in a few seconds I ran around the whole apartment. It became obvious that Uncle Seryozha had gone in English. I went to see the guests off. Passing by Margarita's apartment we heard her joyful cries from behind the door. "Stepka is back, at last." Since then, all uninvited guests from the threshold I asked the question, "How many of you?"